God fucking damn it. Holy shit. Man, today sucks. It's election day. Well, yesterday was election day. Oh, God. The Seattle results are still kind of up in the air for the most part right now, but like they don't look great. They don't look great. Tell you that much. Got a shitlib for mayor. That's pretty much a guaranteed thing. Bruce Harrell, great. Is a guy who covered for a former pedophile we had in office. Yeah, I'm sure he'll be fine. Talking about solving the homelessness crisis with love and not like any material or useful reforms in any fucking way. The pre-DMCA era. It's Pretzel Rocks. We can listen to Pretzel Rock. Yeah, it's local elections for the most part in the United States is what happened. A few states elected governors, and like by and large, they all went Republican because the Democrats don't do any fucking thing at all, ever, and then whine when the fucking Republicans win and blame progressives and blame the minorities. Like, it's your fault we can't get anything done, and then when they have power, they don't get anything done because it's such a fucking know-nothing, do-nothing organization and political party that when they're in power, they don't really have a vested interest in doing anything. Ugh. So our results for Seattle right now are bad. Seattle election 2021. Our results aren't final, but it's not looking hot. It's not looking hot, I'll tell you that much. Let's get rid of Big Me. Let's take a look at this. So Bruce Harrell, shitlib, beat Maria Lorena Gonzalez. She's head of the city council right now. She's pretty okay. That's what I have to say about her. She's fine. She's not radical enough. She's fine. Bruce Harrell beat her basically in a 2-1 margin. There's no way she can come back from that. She can't make up 29 points with the late votes or the votes since yesterday, which will be coming in the next few days. And I've seen some estimates totaling how many votes are expected to come in, but I'm not getting my hopes up. Mosqueda winning here, I think, is a good thing, but of course it's not over. Dow Constantine is garbage, and I think Joe Nguyen is who I wanted to win here. I can't remember. I don't remember caring much about this. This is fucking driving me crazy. Ann Davison is a Republican. She's a Republican. Her solution to homelessness is that the city seize an old grocery store warehouse, build a police station next to it, and put all the homeless people in there. Basically just jail homeless people, but it's not jail, it's a facility where they can be cared for. Just get them off the street. She's a part of, Compassion Seattle. It's some fucking, pearl-clutching, NIMBY horseshit, organization here in Seattle that claims to care about our unhoused neighbors, but all they do is drive them out of encampments and harass them and try to vilify and criminalize them and not really provide them any material help. Nicole Thomas Kennedy, NTK, is a fucking badass. She's way more qualified as an attorney, and Davison has had a total of 3 cases, I think. NTK has had many more. NTK wants to do away with nonviolent... Oh, God. I forget the word. Petty crime, basically. She wants to not prosecute petty crime because the prosecution of petty crime locks people into a vicious cycle where they're just trying to, recover. NTK is, it might be no, she's an abolitionist. She's a police abolitionist, and her winning would be a huge, huge fucking deal. So there's some hope that she might come back with the late votes. But, still doesn't feel good that it's this tight. Sarah Nelson being 20 fucking points over Nikita Oliver sucks. Nikita Oliver they are based. Nikita is a beautiful, wonderful, passionate person. Nikita previously ran for mayor of Seattle and had a very close shot at it. Nikita's incredibly progressive, incredibly leftist, and would be a godsend on the city council. This is a citywide position, so our voter turnout was something like 22%, maybe a little higher. It was abysmal. The requirement for state attorneys is to not practice law. Requirement for education ministers is to not be educators. Yeah. And I don't remember any of these, to be honest with you. I don't think I voted on any of these. They weren't on my ballot, but it's not looking hot, dude. Like, this is nice. There's almost no way Nikita comes back from this unless, like, all of the votes that come in tomorrow for Nikita. NTK could come back from a 17-point, well, I guess an 8.5% fall, being behind 8.5%, but dude, that's rough. There's no way Lorena Gonzalez is gonna pull out there, which fucking blows, because she'd be a much better mayor than Bruce Harrell. It's great just watching election results come in from across the country, and just like watching shitlib after shitlib after shitlib lose to Republican after Republican for like governor positions and other important state positions. It's just like, what did you fuckers expect? You have done nothing for the people. You ran on a platform of, well, we're not Trump, and this is what you get. This is what you get. Are you in the fucking Democratic National Convention members, the DNC party members, are all already blaming fucking progressives for losing. Progressives aren't gonna vote for the crazy right-wing dude. This is just a preview of next year. Next year in 2022, we actually have quite a few seats in Congress and the Senate up for election. And unless the Democrats in power right now get their shit together and pass meaningful material reforms that positively impact the lives of people, they're going to lose harder than they lost here. Now, there are DSA and other socialists across the country that have gotten into office, and, fine. But it still sucks that Seattle did so poorly. It's a privilege to be able to vote for two police abolitionists on the same ballot who did so well, but, doesn't mean jack shit if they don't win. Nikita is great, though. Nikita, when they lost, Nikita uses they, them, that's why I'm referring to Nikita with they. Nikita said something to the effect that, well, you lose an election, but you keep working. The organizing doesn't stop when you lose or when you win. That's just, you keep going. And it's great energy, but the vibes I'm getting from Seattle leftists right now is big doomer energy. I just took like a fucking 3, maybe longer, 3-hour hot bubble bath, just staring at a candle, burning incense, listening to music, trying to not be on my phone, but I was still on my fucking phone, just, oh god. Yeah, that was not great. That was not great. You know what? This camera is not true to life. This blue looks okay on me. On the camera, it doesn't. It doesn't. This is like my worst button up, so let's fuck with this. Argentina has midterms on the 14th, so you better stream at midnight so I can cope and see. You can just... I don't wanna... I don't wanna stream at midnight. I wanna have good, healthy sleep schedule. I don't wanna be molding right now and mad. Okay, wow, okay, the color correction isn't doing anything. Yep, no, brightness isn't where we wanted to go there. Nope. Zero that out. Hue shift, I think we're, It's not that turquoise. Oh yeah, make me green. Some weird queer energy about this. Don't know what, but something. No. Okay, well, whatever. We'll zero this out and just pretend my shirt actually looks like this, but this is not true to life color. This is a bright blue that looks real bad on me, but it looks good on here with the color being washed out, so I'll take it. Healthy sleep schedules are a conspiracy theory. Well, you'd have me believe that, right? There's some joke about... Oh, I don't even have the heart to fucking joke. I'm so tired. This just blows. I haven't even looked at, like, the Washington results so far. I'm sure I'm not gonna love this. Welcome to Ballotpedia. Fuck off. Just show me the results, you sick fuck. Ballot measures. Now, the ballot measures we had were, like, really inconsequential, if I remember. Yeah, either maintain or repeal a tax on phone lines to fund behavioral health and suicide prevention services, passed. Maintain or repeal a capital gains tax. Maintain or repeal a tax on captive insurers. Now, all of those should... I voted yes on all of those to maintain. There are no results here. Excuse you? Excuse you? I'm a fucking idiot. Statewide. Oof. Yep. Telephone line tax has been... Looks like it's going to be repealed with only, like, King County and one other county having a majority vote to maintain it. We don't care about mental health here. We don't give a shit about mental health in this country. Telephone line tax to fund behavioral health crisis response and suicide prevention. Nope. Big ol' repeal. Big ol' repeal. Oh, 7% gains tax on capital gains in excess of $250,000 with exceptions. These assholes do not make $250,000 a year. They don't. They never will. 250 grand per year puts you in the top 1%, right? At least in the top 5% of American earners. These motherfuckers are voting against a tax that will never, ever, ever, ever fucking affect them. Yeah, that's, that might be like top 3% even. You dumb motherfuckers. Okay, how about imposing a tax on captive insurers, which are owed by the company that they insure? Repeal that too. All of these are progressive measures. All of them were shot down. I hate it. I hate it. Okay, well, we fixed the typo in our county charter. Woohoo! Great. Changes timelines for ballot amendments to make them comply with state law. Okay, well, that passed. King County Fire Protection restores the regular property tax levy. That seems to have passed. King County Executive, we don't look at that. We don't look at this. This makes me want to redacted. I also... Oh god, what's the other position? CTAC. How's that going? Not amazingly. Good. Port of Seattle. This is what I wanted. Fuck, that's incredibly close. I think Hamdi Mohammed. Fuck, I can't remember who I voted for here, and I don't have a copy of my ballot. It looks... I think I voted Toshiko Hamdi, and I don't recall between these two. Why do people vote against their own self-interest? Why? Because they're dumb. and the news tells them to, and they're like, well, I watch the news, and those people are smart. They know what they're talking about, so I'm gonna do what they say because I'm smart too. But you're not, you dumb bitch. You're not smart. Being lied to by a corporate mechanism. Oh. God damn it. I was having a good day. I was having a very good day. Now, we had a little stream earlier. I was tired, but that was fine. Oh, just Seattle's wonderful election results right now. They're not finalized, but I don't understand. No, I do. I do understand. A lot of that with a 22% voter turnout, and it looks like the vast majority of voters who actually voted early, whose votes have actually been tallied, were by and large 55 and up. So it's a bunch of old retired people who have had a long lifetime of being, let's say, formed by the political and social environment of the 20th century United States and are afraid of change. That's great. It's great. We have two wonderful police abolitionist candidates. One is looking okay. One's not looking so okay. We do a little class unconsciousness. Just a little class Ambien. Just a little class Ambien. Just a little cope. Just like, no, one day I too will be amongst the rich. You want the police abolished? Fuck yeah. Absolutely I do. They're paid thugs for capital. They don't keep people safe. They don't prevent crime. All they do is hurt people. I would like some sort of peacekeeping or, you know, city health and welfare organization, but that's not what we have. Especially here in Seattle, what we have is a gang. We have a gang in a uniform with a badge that pretty much do whatever the fuck they want and get away with it with no consequences. The police in the United States are abhorrently bad, abhorrently racist, abhorrently like what is it? Oh, I better look this up. Between 24 and 40% of police officers have been involved with cases of domestic abuse. These are not good people. These are bad people. Yes, I want the police abolished. What I want put in their place are health services, mental health services, housing rights, access to basic necessities. Because so many crimes, even violent crimes, are consequences of people's environment, consequences of people's material needs and circumstances. Crimes of desperation and crimes of passion are the two leading sources of crime. Crimes of passion you can mitigate by getting people the mental health care that they need early on before they have a psychotic break. Or you can also contribute to that by giving them safer living circumstances, the ability to move out of an abusive relationship or dangerous relationship or situation by guaranteeing public housing. So much crime could be prevented by actually spending public funds responsibly, rather than just giving it to people whose vested interest is protecting landed interest, capital, and business. The police exist primarily to protect property and to enforce the law selectively. They are not a net good for society. They have never been a net good for society. They are a net good for the ruling class, for the upper class, for the bourgeois, for the capitalist class, but not for the proletariat. Not in any way ever. Police departments in the United States have their origins in slave-catching gangs and gangs and organizations created with the intent and explicit purpose of suppressing racial minorities, specifically African Americans for the most part, in anything east of the Rocky Mountains. In the West, it was primarily anti-Chinese, xenophobic motivations that founded a lot of these organizations. Now, there was some organizations founded or initially organized to harass and, do just a little genocide to our indigenous people here. Yes, no, I am not a fan of the police. I am well studied on American history. I'm well studied on the history of the United States police departments and forces. I am well versed in their ever-increasing funding. The United States police departments are the third best funded military on the planet. Number 1, United States Armed Forces. Number 2, China's military. All of China's military. Number 3, the combined budget of all the United States police departments. Nobody else's police department allocation is anywhere close. So we essentially have the two of the top 3 largest military forces in the world. The first we use to suppress aggression abroad, suppress resistance abroad, to enforce hegemony abroad, and maintain and protect business interests and economic interests abroad, right? Lock down resources, install friendly regimes, destabilize regimes that are resistant to our imperialist claims. Number 2 is the, People's Republic of China, who are one of the only powers that can effectively counteract our sphere of influence. God bless them. Number 3 is our internal police, our Gestapo. And these police department budgets don't take into account the CIA or the FBI or any actual organizations built to suppress and repress people within the United States and movements within the United States. That's not even added to this. It's fucking ridiculous. So yes, I want the cops gone. Absolutely, I want the cops gone. In the city I live, police were tear gassing entire neighborhoods for weeks on end at minor provocation because protesters wanted to walk down a street past a police station and the cops didn't want them to. The protesters were not breaking the law. The only laws that were broken were when the police arbitrarily declared curfews or arbitrarily declared it a riot when there was no violent or destructive activities. The protesters hurt no one. And yes, you can go ahead and tout off the Fox News like, oh, some people were shot at CHOP. CHOP is in an incredibly mixed neighborhood, let's say. It has a lot of nightclubs, it has a lot of drinking, it has a lot of bars. It normally has a good deal of violence. Not like a crazy a lot. We're in a big city. Sometimes drug deal gone bad. Sometimes there's a passion crime. Sometimes somebody's trying to rob somebody to make ends meet, make a quick buck, whatever the fuck. It's not unexpected in that neighborhood, and it's really not that uncommon in that neighborhood. But oh my god, if you're not from Seattle, like, oh, people shot at this anarchist commune. It wasn't a fucking anarchist commune. It was just a square with a bunch of well-intentioned leftists who had no organizational capacity, no organizational model, no aspirations for what they were really doing there, because they weren't there as an occupation. That at least has leverage. They weren't there to develop the park into a livable space for unhoused neighbors. Some people wanted to do that, which was just a stupid fucking plan and never would have worked. There was no rationale to it. They got there, the police left, and then well, I guess we'll occupy this now. And, it was not revolutionary in any way at all. And then it just felt like a fucking summer party, and I hated it. Now, I tried to shut up about it at the time because I didn't want to piss on other people's parade, but it was a mistake. The greatest strength of any decentralized movement, whether it be anarchist, whether it be socialist, whether it be whatever the fuck, is its decentralization. The moment that you take all of that energy, all of those resources, and begin to consolidate them, you make a target. And the state is much more capable of taking heavy losses in a single large engagement, or even a prolonged single engagement, than any guerrilla force or decentralized force can. They can just outbleed you and outlast you. You should build support within your community, absolutely. You should protest, absolutely. You should confront police when necessary, absolutely. You should punch your local fascist. Good Nazi is a dead Nazi, right? But you cannot expect to set up a fucking commune in the middle of one of America's largest cities, right next door to one of its better-funded police departments, and accomplish anything materially significant from that, right? God, that was fucking stupid. It's probable that the people who initially led the march that wanted to just march past the police station were plants from the city, were paid actors. So it just makes it even funnier. I really hated the organizers who were not affiliated with any organization at all. Probably didn't use their real names. Then some other organizers came in, the individuals who were armed, and they were just there for clout. And it was just like, oh my god, this is baby leftists, baby anarchists particularly, are like,
well, people just need to rise up. I don't get why they don't do it.
Well, it's because you don't have any structural organization. It's because you don't have any plans. It's because you don't have any cooperation. You don't have any contingencies. You don't have logistics. You don't have mutual aid networks. You don't have a goddamn thing. You don't even have an idea. You have a thing that you kind of want, that you're trying to accomplish in a really roundabout way. Like, protesting doesn't fucking work. It doesn't work. If it makes headlines and it actually changes something, then probably what you were protesting for wasn't very impactful. Things get done, typically is a compromise to labor and a compromise to organized resistance. Right, the Civil Rights Act of the 20th century were won by organized resistance to the United States, within the United States, primarily, the Black Panthers. Martin Luther King was assassinated by the United States, by the CIA, because he posed a extant danger to their hegemony, to their power structure. It wasn't because, it wasn't because, he was peaceful. My dude was getting real tired of peace. Work stoppages and slowdowns are more of an annoyance and more of a problem to our capitalist society and our good god overlords like Bezos. They don't give a shit if you walk through the street. They don't give a shit if you march or if you have a sign or if you vote for Green Party or, the local DSA candidate. Those systems tend to be so rigged that any effective, really subversive, really revolutionary consequences are totally beyond your reach and will never be within reach. Then they'll just try and play a game of incrementalism on one hand, and on the other hand, reactionaryism. Whatever, you take my meaning. Playing, we're gonna move like 1 inch, 1 inch, 1 inch, and on the other side, we're gonna demand that we just tear down the whole thing and start over, and eventually, like, why don't we let Donald Trump have a run for office? Why don't we give it to a libertarian? Maybe we should do away with all these entitlement programs, as the good man from West Virginia would call it. I hate this country. So much. It is exhausting and depressing and just harrowing. The severe lack of humanity, the severe indoctrination and propaganda, just laden media that people take for granted and accept as truthful when it's just corporate filtered and corporate chosen news bits and factoids and statistics that, and this isn't like conspiracy theory. This is their job. This is how these businesses make money. That's how they exist. They don't exist to provide a public service. They're not publicly owned. They are for-profit corporations who exist to make money. They are owned or a part of other conglomerates which have other vested interests in people behaving or consuming or producing in certain ways. And, that the hands of capital work in tandem to feed itself or jack itself off or whatever, you know, an analogy or metaphor or whatever the fuck you want to use here. For me, the biggest takeaway of today that I have... I missed like a single hair right here when I shaved. One of the bigger takeaways is organized labor works. The amount of strikes we've seen in the United States and their efficacy in getting national attention and getting local attention and actually pressing and enforcing their demands, or at least improving their lived conditions, their material conditions, it works, right? It fucking works. Whereas we look at these campaigns that have been organizing in their communities for years, and then just running out of steam, and all that money, all that energy, all that time put into the campaign, well, where does it go, right? It goes into next time. You know, a year from now, 2 years from now, 4 years from now. That sucks. That sucks. Just go form a fucking union. Join a union. The IWW is definitely the way to go. Like, solidarity between unions, and unions acting in tandem for labor rights and workers' rights is a much more effective mechanism of political and social change. Nonviolent political and social change, right? The progressive candidate in Buffalo seems to have lost by a landslide. Apparently her campaign had been kind of mismanaged. Kind of mismanaged a little bit. What she sent out flyers that were not union made. Were in fact made by a scab company. So a union, which had up to that point not picked a candidate, the largest union in the city, which had been trying to stay politically neutral, did not take kindly to her being a fucking scab, and that was kind of the death knell for her campaign. And like, god damn, this country blows. This country blows. The fucking news for the next week, god, months, is gonna be how we lost this governor and this and that to the Republicans because those dang progressives, those damn Antifas, they didn't show up to vote. They're not team players. Yep, it's not that the Democrats suck and don't really stand for anything and are utter and massive disappointments in everything that they do, that they live on compromising on compromises on compromises until eventually down the road they don't get anything except like $500 means tested 2 years after you needed it. How the fuck does anyone love this country? How? Okay, wealthy people, I get it. Wealthy people, you got it made in the sun. So, you know, Musk, Bezos, I get it. I get why you like it here. Normal people, why the fuck do you like it here? This country blows. Yeah, but... also, if you're not keyed into QAnon shit, today was a sanctimonious day for them. According to one of their many conspiracies, today was the day that Donald Trump would return to office with JFK Sr. as his vice president. Yep. The logic, it makes no fucking sense. The Insurrection Act apparently had a part where the president could hand off the presidency to a former president in the case of emergency. I don't know if it's true, but this is how the logic goes. And apparently Trump did that before leaving office, handing it over to JFK, who would be 103 if he were alive right now, and totally didn't get his brains blasted out in the back of a car in Dallas. Never happened, as far as they're concerned. You know, a lot of conspiracies are like, who shot JFK? No, QAnon is like, nobody shot JFK. He was waiting all this time to be summoned by Donald Trump to guarantee his return to office. Then there's another one that JFK Sr., JFK Jr. will run as Trump's VP in 2024. JFK Jr., of course, died in a plane accident in, like, 98. Both of them very dead, but these people... This fucking country. This fucking country. Yeah, it's great. It's great. We got Joe Manchin, Kristen Sinema saying, nothing can get done. Republicans, I'm not even mad at them for saying nothing can get done because it's all they ever fucking do. And apparently the president of the United States can't do anything through executive action. Nope. Did Trump do a lot of executive orders? Oh yeah, Obama, tons. Biden? Nope. He's entirely able and has had it drawn up the announcement of canceling student loans. He's had that drawn up since May or April because they draw up contingencies for all kinds of things that they might eventually do but probably won't. They're just sitting on it. Not doing it. Maybe we should do away with the oh my god. It's an antiquated thing in the House of Representatives and the Senate. The... Damn. What is it called? Abolish the filibuster. What's really funny is on Martin Luther King Day, Joe Sleepy Biden, Joe Fundamentally Nothing Will Change Biden, and Kamala Top Cop Harris had a ceremony in front of an MLK memorial that's apparently in DC. I didn't know it was in DC, but apparently it's in DC. And they gave Joe the good juice that day. He was real fucking fired up. Real mad about these new Jim Crow, but was he going to do anything about it? No, he was not. He was not going to do a damn thing about it. They were talking about, selectively as liberals do, what MLK wanted. And they didn't talk about how Dr. King said that for any meaningful change to be done, the filibuster must be abolished. It would have been a perfect opportunity, politically speaking, to trot that out, given the ongoing difficulty with the filibuster. The day itself, these new anti-voter laws, these new voter restriction laws are going into place in a lot of states. Would have been a perfect move. But Joe Biden, really the Democrats and the Republicans, have no interest in actually helping people. None. Superficially helping people, looking like they're helping people, making people feel like they want to help them. Oh, absolutely. But actually doing something? Fuck no. I mean, Nancy Pelosi is probably the most honest Democrat for, the DNC. Because she's so obviously full of shit. She's so obviously full of shit with everything that she says. I talked about this, oh god, more than a week ago now, when she was talking about climate change and all of the parts of the infrastructure bill that had been cut out that had to do with climate change. She's like, oh, well, it's not just about climate, it's about jobs. No, it's about, oh my god, it's like 3 or 4 other, just keywords, right? Just some words that poll well. She just threw in there. God, she is a fucking husk of a human being. There is not a soul left in there at all. There's not an ounce of empathy for the working class. If there were, bitch wouldn't have showed off her $100,000 freezers filled to the brim with premium ice cream in the middle of a pandemic, being like, well, we just gotta stay at home. Maybe spend some of your fucking money to help people, Nancy, instead of having stock in Tesla hang on for 10 years or so, something like that, before you actually buy it at a prearranged cost at a massive profit to yourself. She's so blatantly corrupt. All of them are. It's so bad. We live in a kleptocracy. A kleptocracy, if you're not aware, it is rule by thieves. It's differentiated from a corporatocracy or corporatocracy. Whatever. We're not technically ruled by businesses, but most of our elected officials are bought and paid for. If you break a law and you have money, the law applies to you differently. You just pay a fine, you get a better lawyer, you probably get a preferential treatment in the prison that you were sent to or the jail that you're sent to for holding. You probably can serve out most of your sentence under home arrest or house arrest. If you're poor, fuck you. Doesn't even matter if you did the crime, fuck you. You can't pay bail. Guess you're going to prison because we can't trust you. The entire justice system of the United States is built to enshrine and protect capital, fundamentally in every way possible. The representative and democratic republic aspects of our government are, and by design were, built to protect and enshrine capital, because there was nothing that the founding fathers feared more than the workers of their time. Now, there was class struggle going on within the revolutionary movement in the United States during the Revolutionary War and prior to the Revolutionary War. You have Samuel Adams, who was just a huge piece of shit. Huge piece of garbage. Totally anti-labor, hated the common man, thought that landed interest, moneyed interest, educated men should run the country, and that it was in the country's best interest to minimize the voices of the mob. And he was not alone in that sentiment. A vast majority of them were. Very few of them were actually interested in democracy, very interested in representative democracy. They were interested in republicanism for a landed, moneyed merchant class, i.e. them. They were all business owners, or former aristocrats, or born in the money, or inheritors. There was not a pauper amongst them. You look at, oh my god, Lafayette, Marquis de Lafayette. Marquis is not a name. Marquis is a title. It is a title of nobility. We had nobles from France holidaying over here, supporting our burgeoning aristocracy in revolting from their European rivals, right? France didn't support us because they loved democracy. They supported us because they hated the other guys more. There was just nothing revolutionary about our revolution. It was more about transitioning authority to a local level. I really think that if the United Kingdom had given the kind of local representation and dominionship, as it would ultimately become in the other colonies, dominionship to the United States, we would not have had a Revolutionary War in the same way that we had. The Revolutionary War wasn't even the first popular uprising in the colonies. It was the latest, but one had happened, like 20 years prior. It was like 50% fuck the British, 50% genocide against indigenous people, because the British actually sort of respected their treaties with indigenous peoples. Just because there were other revolutions doesn't mean that they were good, right? I'm not gonna go off on trying to reclaim them. Absolutely fucking not. We've never been the good guys in this country. I mean, the working people, maybe. They've been placed under this grand illusion that, we are the light and the beacon of democracy, the hope of the free world, the arsenal of democracy, the yada, 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 yada. That Lady Liberty bullshit. We're not, though. Do not send me you're sick, you're weary. Do not come. Do not come. There's a myth of what America is, and it's a beautiful myth. It's a tantalizing myth. It's a city, it's a golden city on the hill. It doesn't exist. It doesn't even come close to existing. It's a lie. It's a beautiful lie used to placate, control, and satisfy the working class, the proletariat, the poor. And the United States is not unique. in its abuses towards its working people, and its abuses towards its indigenous population, its abuses towards African Americans and other minorities, is not unique in any of our travesties, our tyrannies, our inequities, inequalities, and just unforgivable circumstances. We're not unique, but we're pretty fucking bad. God, the governorship of Virginia arguably was settled over the issue of critical race theory and whether critical race theory should be taught in schools. If you're curious or don't know, critical race theory isn't a thing. It is not taught in schools. It is made up. Critical race theory has become this bubble under which reactionaries will put any piece of history that they find uncomfortable or they don't want their kids knowing about, i.e. that we genocidally conquered this continent, that we drove dozens if not hundreds of languages and their speakers to extinction, that we engaged in the rape and pillage of continents for centuries, that we enslaved people without regret or abatement for hundreds of years, etc., 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 etc. What they want to teach their kids, or that, you know, they were racist as hell. No, what they want to teach is that we're great, America's wonderful, we're the good guys, we're the best, democracy's wonderful, we are the best people in the world, we safeguard representative democracy across the globe and freedom and, free speech and etc., etc., etc. It's not a real thing. Not a real thing. It's people wanting propaganda rather than the truth. It's people walking out of Plato's allegorical cave, seeing the light and running back into the darkness because they don't understand the real world. They would rather run back to the shadows projected on the wall by actors and puppeteers than come to terms with the hellscape of a nation that they are in part responsible for building, for sustaining, and for worsening over the course of their lifetime. And you can look at interviews of people who talk about critical race theory being something that they care about. They can't define it. They can't say what it is because it's not a real thing. It's just a blurb used by corporate and reactionary and conservative media to knee-jerk people, to scare them. That's fucking stupid. It's incredibly fucking stupid. I've gone a little while without having a doomer stream. I really have. But today was a gentle reminder of late-stage capitalism, of the slow and inevitable and awkward and stubborn decline and collapse of the American empire. Oh, it might last for my lifetime, but what heights it once achieved, it will never achieve again. It will not go down quietly. It will not go down without great violence. And I really don't look forward to that. Because you would hope, as many people do, that we could reform our way, we could walk our way out of this, we have the money and the resources to tackle all of these different problems. If only we would tax the rich, if only we would reappropriate wealth, if only we would practice eminent domain of national industries, national infrastructure, businesses of interest that could safeguard the environment, that could walk back or slow or even capture greenhouse gases, that could transition us to clean air energy grids, that could maintain and improve public infrastructure so as to reduce the energy demands of individual transportation and instead pivot towards something more efficient, healthier, and cheaper on the whole. We could acquire nationally, use eminent domain to seize property that people aren't living in, houses people aren't living in, and redistribute those to people who are homeless and in need of homes. I mean, we're seeing it here in Seattle, and we're seeing it other places where hotels and motels are being bought out, and those are being used as temporary homes or transitional housing for people, or even permanent housing for people. And that's great. That's great. I want more of that. I want more renters to form co-ops and buy their building so that the building is actually owned by the people living in it. There are so many things we could do to make life better for people today, not in theory, but in real, material, meaningful practice. And we just abjectly refuse to. Now, Elon Musk was showing his whole ass the other day talking about,
I'll sell all my Tesla stock right now if you tell me how $6 billion could stop
world hunger. He had no interest in actually doing that, and what he wanted to do was be like, look, I don't actually have enough money. But he doesn't only have $6 billion. Lord God Bezos just said he'd spend, like $6 or $10 billion on mitigating something. Motherfucker has hundreds of billions of dollars. I know he doesn't have it in currency. I know it's tied up in capital and investments. That does not decrease its value. That does not mean he cannot liquidate that capital. That capital could not be seized. That capital could not be better used. Like, oh my god, just nationalize Amazon. Merge that with the USPS. The USPS is having performance problems because of the Trump administrator put in charge. Merge them. I mean, Amazon's wildly successful. It can barely turn a profit, but it's basically turned into a public service anyway. Just nationalize it. Fuck it. Who cares? All you're gonna do is offend some rich people, and money doesn't really mean anything. Not really. The United States, more than any other modern nation, knows that real power grows from the barrel of a gun, like Mao said. Otherwise, we wouldn't have the first and third largest militaries on the planet. We wouldn't have the best funded and the largest intelligence networks on the planet. We wouldn't be having proxy wars in nations across North Africa, the Middle East, Central Africa, East Africa. Come on, man. Like, we have the means, we have the ability. There's just no motive. Because so many of the people at the helms of state, people with power, are vitally invested in maintaining that power and have come about that power through capitalism and imperialism and the exploitation of the common man. I used to think when I was younger that all the old propaganda of capitalism is oiled with the blood of the workers. Okay, maybe that's a bit much. Not really. No. Particularly through this pandemic, we have seen that the United States has, and many other nations, have a great disdain for human life. That human welfare is seen as an inconvenience and an impediment to good economics, good business. That all of these preventative measures meant to save lives, mitigate harm, to do good, were rolled back at the earliest convenience with the flimsiest of excuses. And when proven that they were not effective strategies to actually improve the economy or save lives, they bullheadedly charged forward with, we're gonna build back better. We're opening back up. Everything's fine. But it's not. We're seeing a massive unemployment problem continuing. We're seeing increasing numbers of labor strikes across the United States. Our logistics networks and distribution networks are fucking hemorrhaging. This inflation crisis that the news is talking about being this new thing, it's not a new thing. It was very predictable from last year just because of what the natural consequences of a pandemic would do. Resources in short supply, capitalists are going to raise the prices for that because they can, and they want to make profits because that is their core motive, is the profit motive. It was wildly predictable, especially with all those stupid-ass small business loans and no accountability whatsoever. And there's arguments that it was all the stimulus. No. Inflation does not occur at the government level. It does not occur at the individual level. Inflation occurs at the business level. Inflation occurs when a business owner raises the price of a good, without there being a correlative and associated rise in the price of producing that good. Inflation is an increase in cost without an increase in value. And that's not how the news is talking about it right now, because that's not how they want to sell it. They don't want to sell it that big business is just making blood money right now. No. It's all those damn socialist and leftist policies. It's all this public spending. That's the problem. We printed too much money. We have a fiat currency. It doesn't mean anything. Yeah. Wonderful country I live in. Wonderful country. Best in the world. Number one. It's just getting worse. It's just getting worse with the end of October. 2 days ago, maybe 3 days ago now, depending on the time. 3 days ago now. Eviction moratoriums ended in 49 out of 50 states, I think. 48 or 49 states out of the union have had their eviction moratoriums ended. The number of Americans who are in the upcoming weeks and month going to be forced out of their home into the streets is going to worsen an already all-time high homelessness crisis. It is by no means going to make things better. People who don't have homes have a very hard time getting and keeping work. So if we have a worker shortage, forcing those workers out of their homes is a good way to make sure they can't do their jobs. And if they can't do their jobs, well, then things aren't produced or things aren't maintained, and costs will associatedly rise because the fucking fat cats at the top are trying to maintain or increase their profit margins. There's no way this ends well. There's no way this ends well. Especially with the housing market just in a fucking boom right now as far as land costs and how the value of homes going up, which is in part associated with the increasing cost of labor and the increasing cost of material, but more so that companies like Trulia and other listing companies have had AI programs, and I hate AI. They've had algorithms, because it's not real AI, it's just algorithms running to buy out homes en masse and just hoard and sit on it, to just sit on the commodity, and so it goes up in value in the hopes that they can then sell it. But there's no fucking buyer's markets outside of, conglomerates, outside of property management companies. So these property management monies are now buying these homes, empty, abandoned, seized homes, from Trulia and other organizations like it. It's not just Trulia, that's just the one that's making the rounds. As much as like at a 75% loss for Trulia. And then these fucking new feudal landlords get to charge whatever the fuck they want for rent because they have a lion's share of the market. The rental markets in the United States are so poorly regulated, so poorly, even documented well, that it's not gonna end well, dude. People can't afford rent right now. And with this artificial inflation of housing prices, that's gonna drive rent prices up. People already aren't working. People already can't afford... Who are you making money off of? Where's the money coming from? Because the whole parasitic system of being a landlord, of owning property, even though you don't really own it in your own right, you own it through the capital of the people who live there, who you're just hoovering that up from, and by all rights, they should own it because they're the ones putting money into it in the long term, and that's why you should form a co-op with people in your apartment building or neighborhood or wherever, or house or whatever, and get together and buy the property. Because then the conditions of the building, and like, I don't know, it just not being sold out from under you is something actively in your control. Rent control, real rent control, when instead of just paying, like I'm paying like $1,400 a month to some assholes who just hire somebody who's probably making like $20 an hour. If she's making that, she deserves to be making more, to watch over the building and fix things when they absolutely have to be fixed. I don't even have Slumlord property management company. I have an okay one. I'm not gonna say who they are because I've worked for them previously. Dude, it sucks. It sucks. All this sucks. None of this is getting better. This is all just getting more and more unbalanced, worse and worse for your average person, less and less sustainable. I don't see the end game. You know, I'm a fairly well-educated person, right? In history and anthropology and some physics and a little bit of math, right? I didn't go no big business law school for business or economics or politics. Imagine being a poli-sci major. Come on, man. But I can do the math, and I can see the way this is going, and there's, like, I can't imagine how anyone expects this momentum to go anywhere good anytime soon, because we're going down, baby, we're going down. And there have been some small signs of recovery for very specific classes of people, but it's been an hour. Thank you for pissing me off and giving me the ooh eyes, and being like, you want the police abolished? Like, all right, I'll go off. I don't mind. Yes, I do. And let me talk about everything else wrong in this fucking country and how it's all just this self-inflating, self-reinforcing, self-perpetuating fuckstick of a situation that is leading to its own demise through its own contradictions, inevitably, time and time again, just like fucking hair marks wrote in the goddamn 1850s. Love to see it. Take care of one another. Now, I'm wrapping up here, but genuinely take care of one another. Like I mentioned earlier on in the day, I am starting to look into work again. Woo. And it's casually at this point. With that said, I haven't worked since beginning of April 2020. And still, I was able to help someone out with bills and rent this month. You don't have to cover it in its entirety. You don't have to do it in full, but take care of one another. Seriously, check in on your friends and your family and see how they're doing, because Lord knows through the course of this pandemic, not one of us has gone without losing someone or knowing someone who has lost someone. Not one of us has gone without knowing someone who has been on the borderline of losing their apartment or their home or their rental or actually lost it. Not one of us doesn't know someone in medical emergency or medical debt. If you can help someone, even in a small way, help them. Because no one is going to save us but us. I say it all the time, but it is of the utmost importance to join a union or form a union if you don't already have one at work. Because again, no one is protecting you except one another. Solidarity and community are the only ways by which we can really safeguard our livelihoods, our welfare, our survival. Join organizations like Socialist Alternative and the Democratic Socialists of America. They're not perfect. The DSA still tries to work with Democrats and to mixed effect, right? Socialist Alternative is a bit more purist. There are plenty of other organizations like the Socialist Rifle Association, depending on what you want, the John Brown Club, etc., etc. There are good people trying desperately to form communities, to create solidarity, to provide help and aid materially, emotionally, however else, to one another. You don't have to wait to be saved by Washington, because you won't be saved by Washington. You know, workers of the world unite. You have nothing to lose but your chains. Now that, guess I'm wrapping up for the night. Thanks for hanging out. I'll be back tomorrow with, some video games in the afternoon. Probably some more politics, because Lord knows I'm probably gonna get election results I don't like tomorrow. And yeah, we'll keep playing this by ear. Until then, I'm gonna say toodaloo. Take care. Well, I'll see you then. Bye-bye.